And I just wanted to welcome you guys to the Tribal Candidate Forum, the Native American Contemporary Issues students. We all collaborated and organized this evening's event. This forum provides candidates an opportunity to not only introduce themselves, but to discuss topics and concerns of tribal membership. In order for this evening's proceedings to run efficiently, we do have some ground rules. Number one, both questions and answers cannot exceed 2 minutes. Two, please be respectful and do not interrupt anyone. 3, no foul language. And 4, there's absolutely no heckling to be allowed. Remember that this is a student event, and if you cannot follow the rules, you will be asked to leave. Before we begin, firsthand, I will introduce the candidates, and when I say your name, please raise your hand. Melton Frenchman. James Louis LaRose. Lorelei Decora. And Ramona Baker. James E. Snow did notify us that he will not be able to make it tonight, and I just wanted to let you guys know that. So we will begin this forum with the student questions, and after each question, each candidate can come up to the podium and address the audience, and after our questions, community questions will follow. So we're going to begin with the first student question, which is, what actions are you willing to take to help Winnebago descendants become enrolled tribal members? The floor is yours. What actions are you willing to take to help Winnebago descendants become enrolled tribal members?
Well, to be honest, for me, this something I haven't given a thought yet, and I just think that it's something too that we seriously have to sit down and come to something that's going to work for us to keep our membership going strong. I'm recently a grandfather, and you think about the way things are supposed to be, how we are, you follow who you are, and what things change, and we have to grow. Somewhere along the line, I've told my children, it would be nice for us to breed back in, so we could keep our blood strong. But seeing how things are, you're just too close. I advise my children, you don't seek that here at home, because we may be related and whatnot. So, like I said, I'm a grandfather, and and I hope, my children, they're not, they're half, but in their hearts, they're whole chunk all the way. But somewhere along the line, I did tell them that, you keep breeding further and further away from us, we're going to be obsolete somewhere. You're going to dilute my old blood. But I'm just prepared, if that's the way we have to go. So we have to look at some options. I mean, there's a lot of us that, have children and grandchildren that fall in that category. So we need to really figure out and find ways to solve the issue so we can grow, be 50,000 strong 100 years from now or something. You know what I mean? Thank you.
Currently, I don't know if the membership are aware that our tribal council has a moratorium on enrollment as the Constitution reads right now. And only if you have a 4th Winnebago blood are they allowing anyone to get enrolled. And I went to the tribal council 2 years ago in July, and I told them that the tribal council does not have the power over any aspect of the Constitution. That would be like the Senate in the United States passing a motion to put a moratorium on the Constitution and enacting a law. And I asked them to lift that moratorium because it's illegal. No tribal council has the power to put a moratorium on any aspect of our Constitution. So what's happening is our descendants, our children who could be enrolled under the way the Constitution reads, they haven't been able to get enrolled. So guess what? We have 2/3 adults in our tribe right now and 1/3 children. So this is something that we really, as a whole tribe, we need to look at enrollment. And you know, it was the non-Indian back in his wisdom that put a quorum on something, a quantum, I mean. But direct descendancy could be our solution. If you have a direct line that goes all the way back to the master roll, you should be able to be enrolled in our tribe. So that's where I stand. Thank you.
Good evening. I like that, Lorelei. That was very good. Some of the issues that I see with enrollment, and like she says, you know, I agree with her. You should show direct descendant line. But one of the things that bothers me the most is that it's put to the ballot question. And as divided as we are, sometimes those decisions are made at the ballot. Say, this person doesn't like that person, so they're not going to do it. Or maybe you don't know who they are. I think they have a criteria in enrollment to go ahead and do that, and we should leave it in enrollment's hands to do that, and it should be direct descendant on the original rolls.
Would you like the mic?
I have many grandchildren from many tribes at Winnebago in heart and soul, but they can't be enrolled. And it's tied in with quantum. We have used that to define ourselves. But it isn't a good definition. I'm not locked into any method. I think we have to show our lineage, how we're related. You talk long enough to your fellow students, you might find out you're related if you look back at your families. Lorelei and I are related. I don't know about the other two. But we used quantum to divide. And we got to find a way to look for an answer that will unite us as a tribe, because we're growing bigger. We need a capacity to grow bigger and to grow stronger. And I don't have the solution. But I know the Omahas undertook a study to unravel their quantum. And we might have to do a similar study to look at the history of our family tree. My great-grandfather, Henry Cora, is listed on some rolls as full-blood. The BIA census. And then he has another quantum that shows he's part white. Which one is true? Because that will impact generations of Decorah ancestors. And I only seek the truth.
Okay. Our first question was, what actions are you willing to take to help the Winnebago descendants become enrolled tribal members?
Good evening, everyone. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Brian Chamberlain. What actions will I take to help Winnebago descendants become enrolled tribal members? First of all, so it's clear for everybody, my position on the pedigree that Native Americans hold in general is something that I just simply don't agree with. As the only people on this planet who have to prove through a pedigree who you are, placed on us by an oppressive government system, that's not something that I look at us as wanting to uphold in the long term. Simply because the way I look at it is, if we're supposed to uphold some numerical threshold, such as 1/4 or 1/8 or some other number, when we start out as people and we have a pedigree of full blood or 4/4 or whatever it is, and that number begins to split, it is only a matter of time before that number reaches that threshold and eventually 0. I think we need to look at this entire thing as being just another mechanism to destroy Native people. And we, as the Winnebago tribe, are no different in that. So what will I do? I will support and work with our enrollment committee as well as the community at large, because it is up to all of us to determine who our membership is and how we make those determinations, because it isn't just one simple thing. It is a makeup of several different things. It cannot simply be physical traits, because that is not what we are anymore. And if we do give in to this system overall, it's only a matter of time before we no longer exist.
Alrighty, our second question is, what are your thoughts on the housing, drug testing, and the displacement of children and families?
Okay, low to moderate income housing, in order to receive funding through NAHASTA, has to have a drug-free work environment and drug-free homes. Now, one of our issues is to combat meth, and that is one way that we are trying to do so. Unfortunately, we have led with those laws and rules up to a homeless situation, and there's got to be some compassion there, where there's got to be kind of a gray area. But we need to also, it can't be just on housing that's going on. We need, as a community, to come together and find other resources, such as treatment centers. We have a DDU down there that is not utilized, that's to house women and children. My suggestion is to build a house, you know, for men and women. They would have to be separate, but it is doable. I would take the St. Monica's model to do so, but it takes a community. It takes all of us to pull all of our resources together in order to catch those that are falling and have fallen victim to this drug. And I know every one of us has had this touch our family members, and, you know, one of our family members in our lives. So it's going to take all of us to take care of this, and I'm going to try to work hard to get that done.
As I understand it, we have sick people with a disease of sickness in our community. And we have no place to send them for treatment. I asked the incoming executive director of the Winnebago Comprehensive Healthcare System last spring, when she talks with the tribal council, why couldn't we ask our tribal council to adopt a resolution directing the Great Plains area of Indian Health Service, who manages the DDU, to designate the DDU for meth detox? Because when us whole chunk people, we want our people to get well. But where are they gonna go? There's almost no place in the Great Plains area to help our people get well. So to me, if we had a place where our sick relatives could go to get well, should be at the council level's concern. And it's within their power to do it, because this meth sickness isn't just in Winnebago, it's all over. It's all over, even in the Great Plains area, and the other reservations have nowhere to send their sick people. So that's my first concern, is how do we get our sick people to get well? Thank you.
Man, that's one tough thing. I mean, for me, as Mona mentioned, we all have lost someone. God, I've plenty of sisters and women relatives is basically gone on that shit. But excuse my language, but that is something that we do need to come together as a community to develop these things for our people. State of the art, whether something. It has to be more positive. We have to basically put our resources together so that we can accomplish these types of things, and let our young generation know, and teach them the ways around that drum, and be who we are, be proud of it. That's a lot of things, and I'm sure the community, that have a lot of input and ways that would help, and I would just do the best to work with any of you are open to any suggestions to make this happen and rid this of meth, this town of meth. Thank you.
Solving the meth epidemic in 2 minutes is not something we're going to be able to do, but I will try to describe what I believe are the most important points in that solution. And the first one, from my point of view, is to unleash the most powerful weapon, and that is education. Because all too often here in the community, we rely only on one resource, and that is law enforcement and the judicial system. And while that certainly does have a role, and it certainly does have a place in the solution, it is obviously not the only solution. Through education, we'll be able to teach people, especially the younger generations, how to avoid the pitfalls that they find themselves in when they go home to meth, when they are surrounded by meth, or when influential people in their lives are using this drug. This is not a solution that's going to happen in 2 weeks, and it's not going to happen the day after Election Day. This is something that we're going to be fighting, unfortunately, for a long time. But until we unleash the most powerful weapon, we're not going to get much further than we are right now. A lot of people will say that, okay, we want real ideas and we want real solutions because all of us are touched by this, me included. But until we begin to really see what the solutions are through education, through the eyes of education, we will begin to understand not just what this problem is, not just seeing it destroy our family members, but also how to help them entirely, completely, not just removing them from a bad situation, but helping them understand themselves through education why they are in this position, what has happened in their lives, and helping them through it. So for me, education is obviously the first step we need to do.
This is a tough one. The very foundation of Winnebago as a tribe is at risk. Meth is the #1 killer of tribal people. I told somebody I miss the winos. They used to be down at the post office every morning to pester you. They'd laugh. And you have a good time with them. They're all gone. Some of them live to old age. But meth has taken people at a young age. And it's painful. We instituted a Get Tough policy at Winnebago Housing and Development Corporation because they were using meth in our units. They were decontaminating or contaminating to a level that made them unsuitable for a human being to live in. We ended up having to evict tenants. It's painful to evict grandma or Toka because their house is not livable. The contamination was caused by the grandchildren, but the grandparents' name was on the contract. We need to find a better way, and that better way is to develop our own accredited treatment and detox system. We ran into trouble in the 70s with getting students into college. So we brought the teachers to the reservation. We started our own college to respond to the needs. And this institution here is evidence of the Winnebagos facing up to the problems that we were having. And I'm confident that we will eventually stand up and fight this meth and make Little Peace proud. But it's going to be a tough, hard battle. It's not going to be easy, but we can win.
Okay, our last student question is, how will you make the main road, Highway 77, safer for the community to cross?
Currently, I'm working as a nurse in a project of the tribe called Good Health and Wellness in Indian Country. and we did an environmental look at our community in 2015. And highway crossing safety was a major issue. So we worked with the Tribal Council, the Village of Winnebago, and the public school, and we got the Nebraska Department of Roads in here. And the day of the meeting, we had just had a blizzard the day before. And those Nebraska Department of Road guys were coming for the meeting, and they had piled up a lot of the snow on the side of the highway. And as they were coming, they saw two little boys trying to run across the street, and they couldn't get up to the other side because the snowbank was there. And they thought they were going to see the semi coming hit those little boys, so they saw right in front of them what our issue is. Winnebago is the only town in the state of Nebraska that everybody lives on one side of the highway, and all our services are on the other side of the highway, and there's not even a stoplight. Our seniors, when they're crossing to go from the housing over to the senior center, especially in the winter, you just cringe because they might be walking with a walker. Or you see our kids trying to cross and get across before traffic comes. And this highway, you're supposed to be going 35 through town. And so there is that roundabout south of town, but after they get past it, they're speeding up that hill. So immediately the Nebraska Department of Roads installed those flashing rectangular beacons you see. School mornings, they're flashing. The kids can push that button and it can stop traffic both ways. They put that in right away. But and I hope nobody gets crabby, but starting in the spring of 2019, the Nebraska Department of Roads is going to install a roundabout on the north entrance into town. They're paying for it. But what it's going to do is slow down traffic coming from the north by our school. And by getting crabby, I mean we're going to have to be detoured while they build it. And then they're going to put in another flashing beacons down closer to the center. But highway crossing safety is our major one issue, and it just happens the only town in Winnebago has no stoplight, and all the surfaces are on one side of the highway, and we live on the other side of the highway. So that's what we jointly got from the Nebraska Department of Roads, so that construction for that roundabout's going to start in the spring. Thank you.
This morning I just got off the phone to Senator Albrecht's office on this issue. We have the Village of Winnebago, because they increased the speeds to 65 miles per hour on the highways. We have issues with turning off into the Kelly Project. So the Village of Winnebago, where I work, has passed an ordinance wanting to reduce the speed along the corridor there to 25 miles per hour. We also got a letter of support from the public schools. So I had to get all of that stuff together. Yes, in 2019, there is a road project coming through. We're going to get new sidewalks, new retaining walls, and we're going to have a crossing area down by the senior citizens area. We're still going to have the flashing light, and we're still going to have that, but I'm not sure if the roundabout is going to slow it down, but I'm hopeful. And if that's not the issue, we did have the opportunity to have little islands in the middle where they say where the kids could be safe. But that's a no-go for any of us, too. So you are going to be upset with the way that things are going, when that construction starts. But, we're going to do our best to try to slow that traffic down in between the senior citizens and the school. Thank you.
Kind of sounds like we're already getting the ball rolling to get the situation solved. I guess the only thing is work as a community, and like as we teach our children and all of us in ways to, you know, teach the young ones how to use the road. I mean, how many of us actually go to visit a big city? Do we jaywalk? I don't think so, you know. So I guess just work in part to help out in ways like that, educate our young ones. It's simple as that.
The statistical information about the traffic here in Winnebago, I think, would blow a lot of people away. When we were establishing a business here in 2004 and we needed highway information from the Nebraska Department of Roads, I was myself shocked to learn that more than 10,000 vehicles travel through Winnebago each and every day. Now, we all know that the local traffic will comprise quite a bit of that simply going back and forth, but when you look at the amount of people actually traveling through Winnebago, it kind of becomes staggering, so it's no wonder that this problem exists. Now, like what was said, if there are already plans underway to help mitigate portions of this problem, then my answer to the question is simply stand in continued support and do whatever's necessary to bring those solutions to their natural conclusion, and then find out from that point what existing or still existing problems we have regarding this problem, or excuse me, regarding this issue. So anything we can do to make it better seems to be already underway. People are already working in that. Let's all stand in support of it because it affects all of our families. After it's done, what else needs to be completed? Simple.
I went to one of those road meetings and suggested that they bypass Winnebago. Just go around. And I about got run out of the meeting. But I was worried about some kid getting killed. But we reached the point where we have the roundabout ready for construction, and I'm in favor of continuing that construction as soon as possible.
Alrighty, so we're done with student questions. So if we do have community questions, please raise your hand and we will get the mic to you.
Oh, Hinikaragiwe. I got a question for our candidates. As president of Chief Little Priest Tribal College, I know that the tribe has cut 10% on their budget. Last year, we were cut 10%. I can tell you that we do appreciate the $450,000 tribal appropriation that we do get, but I can tell you definitively that it's not enough. We don't have enough money to fund a librarian. We do have the Higher Learning Commission going to visit us in 2020, which we're preparing for now. And I'm confident that we'll be successful in maintaining our. But my question is, and it's not just the library in general, but we've been spending a ton of money, and thank goodness for the federal grants that we've applied for to get to fix these buildings. And the message that I've communicated and conveyed to our Little Priest family and everyone here is that no one dishonors Chief Little Priest anymore. Nobody. Me, board members, students, staff, no more is that going to happen. And what I'm getting at is that Chief Littlepriest, our institution and our college had been neglected, unequivocally neglected. And we've been spending money just to stop the water from coming through the walls, the ceilings, and we've done that coming up on a year. We've been doing a lot of that, and we're still not done. But my question is, from the candidates, I'm going to come in front of you and I'm going to ask for more money. And I will have a budget and a purpose for those funds, and we will do exactly what we say we're going to do. And so my question is, how are you going to support us financially on that financial initiative, that financial request when it comes to the council table?
Okay, first of all, as a product of this college, I stand in its full support. I always try to make that absolutely clear whenever we have these, and even when the college is discussed in general in my life. So how do we support what has been done? I think what we need to do is first establish where are we financially with the tribe. When questions like that, which seem to be simple, are asked and we get absolutely no answer, or somebody is texting on their phone and pretends that the question was not even asked, it's hard for us to actually create real-time and real number solutions in that, unfortunately. But as the former treasurer of the tribe, twice, if I'm elected, one of my main goals is to find out the answer to that question so we can begin to answer your question of how are we going to increase the necessary funding for our college. As the treasurer, I always understood that the $450,000 that we did give was supposed to be used for the college's endowment fund, which is basically supposed to be a large savings account. But because of the status of the tribe and the status of the college overall, and obviously the problems that both have had over the several fiscal cycles prior to your installation as President Mauka, we need to understand how are we going to do things better, how are we going to be able to use that money for the endowment fund in the way that it was supposed to be, and then obviously allow this operation to grow and grow beyond even what I consider to be my wildest dreams. Because as a product of this college, it changed my life, and I think that it is incumbent, if not required and necessary, for each member of the council to do everything possible to make sure that this, a true guide to our future, is supported in every single way.
Since I have no clue what the revenue is for the tribe yet, unless you guys was to elect me, I think the college is a priority. I went to college myself. I got a Bachelor of Science in Nursing from South Dakota State University. But the tribe supported my college education under the higher education grant. But it's not just the college. It's the college and the Boys and Girls Club. The Boys and Girls Club is feeding 60 to 65 of our children every night during the winter months. Do you guys know that? And they're in 2 rooms, making the most in 2 rooms. So that includes, so when we say our youth, why doesn't the college have enough money to have a safe learning environment for our children? Why are our children stuffed into 2 little rooms as their only place they can go? So somehow the rhetoric is our children, but we're not putting our money where our mouth is. But yet we have to find out where that revenue is. How has it been getting spent in order to change that formula? That's my thinking. Thank you.
Well, as you know, there's 3 of us here that we're not really sure where they stand financially. But no, this institution is very, very important. And, you know, I'm in agreement with Brian and Lorelei that we need to find out where we stand financially and where the money is going. You know, I have a daughter that's a graduate of this college. I have another one enrolled, you know, and I would like to see, you know, this college go forth, you know, and continue to educate, you know, our children when they're done with high school. There's one thing that I would like to initiate, and that is construction work. We need to community partner here, and we need to start finding more volunteers so that we can do such projects like this at very minimal cost and volunteer work to do it. So I would like to see those types of things where you guys fall short, that we as a community can pick up to help one another out. Thank you.
Geez, I'd hope that not ever tell you we don't have any money. But yeah, man, I agree with there's a lot of things. I mean, I wrote something up, but I know I kind of wanted to read it, but I think it's just a, you know, kind of my campaign thing, you know. But proper investing, you know, from the get-go, it needs to change. As myself, I don't know where we stand, but for you to come up and ask for $450,000 and you know, and things are done in such a manner, in a positive way, we could be sitting, you know, on a bunch of money and be like, no problem, man, here you go. We're all for that. We spent a lot of time, you know, wasting money, all of us as enrolled members, to that table. So it's time to take our profits and start doing wise with them things, and, you know, and making investments. So we have, you know, just to bring the sort of resources back into us so that we'll never be out of money. We have that opportunity 20 years ago, and I think some of these things, you know, in my letter, I think, man, some of these moves were made 20 years ago, we'd be sitting on a multi-million-dollar portfolio today. It's just that simple. So I think we need to take our resources and start doing right, so we will always have money for education, whatever needs that need to be met in our community. Thank you.
That's an easy one. We have to take a hard look at our budget and fund programs of high priority. Little Fleece is a high priority of mine. I've seen it grow. I've served in different capacities at Little Fleece. I find that council members, some of them have no ability to generate money, but they sure know how to waste it. They spend money on a lot of foolish things. We have a boxing commission. I don't know why we have a boxing commission. We have, in some programs, more commissioners than we need, like the Gaming Commission. We need to take a hard look at the present programs. take a hard look at the priorities and match them up. Because we're not facing tough questions like Lorelei brought up. Kids going hungry. We think it's in other places, but it's here. And the only way you can correct it is to put into the council the people that have the gall to fight for you. But you also have to tell them what your problems are, what your issues are. That's part of your learning and growing process as a student. That's all.
Do we have any more questions?
What kind of changes do you wish to bring if you were to make it on tribal council? What kind of changes do you wish to bring if you were to make it on tribal council?
Again, I go back to it has to make smart investments, so you know we can meet all our demands that we need. I mean, simple as that. Without that, we got to build the bank. You know, I just, you know, everything that we battle with. I mean, hate to say it, but geez, we need the money to conquer a lot of these things. You know, our way of life is gone. We have to revolve around that. No matter if we save it, spend it, what, but we need it to accomplish these things. It's simple as that. I want to somehow work in ways to bring us up out of the red into the black, that we always stay in the black. I think with some of these things and we reach those goals, it's unlimited to what we could do in this community to keep it positive and keep us proud of who we are. I know I will do my best if I make it. For one thing, not to waste your dollar anymore. I'm tired of wasting my dollar, your dollar, on lifestyles, and it doesn't make no sense. I work for myself, make an honest living, and I'm proud of it. And I would feel guilty if I was to make it and not try to accomplish any of my goals for my people. I love my people. I always have, and always will. But the greed and the vindictiveness and all of that thing needs to change first, and I think it'll be positive for all of us in the end. Thank you.
As one person, if I was elected, I would be one of 9. But one thing that is doable by me as one person is when your tribal membership come into a meeting and they ask you a question about why you made a decision, the tribal member deserves to be answered. I saw that happen this past winter and I could not believe it. These are 9 people we're sitting there paying, and the majority of them passed a motion to dissolve our land management corporation. And the people came in and asked them why. And those members that passed that motion would not answer. And tribal member after tribal member got up and asked the same question. The ones who passed that motion would not answer. So if I'm elected, I'll tell you what the issue was, how I voted, and what the outcome was. I don't ever want a tribal member who comes to ask a question not to get an answer. Thank you.
Well, there are a lot of things. One of the main things that I see and I would like to see changed is the decorum in a tribal council meeting. I would like to see the same thing that this young lady got up and announced the rules to be extended to the tribal council chambers when they are having a meeting. I would also like to see a lot more communication between the tribal council members. They have to go to these committees and it seems like, you know, they don't know what's going on. How long, when you go to one of these committee meetings that you come back to the office, how long does it take to type up just a quick narrative of what you decided on that board or what have you, and email it there? You could just walk down the hallway, you know? I mean, it's just that simple. And also, if this is it to pull back money, I'm more than willing to be a stipend council member. It's not a problem for me. You know, if that means saving the tribe money and being able to put that money to use, and especially to the college, you know, for the college students and for the younger youth, I'm all for that, you know, because I do work, you know, so I would be more than willing to do that. But the communication between all council members needs to change. It needs to improve. We need to listen and hear each other out. In disagreements in between those two opposing ideas, there's a compromise that is fair and equitable and takes care of all of us, not just one side or the other. Thank you.
Ready? I'll try to make this happen in 2 minutes because I really wish I had more for this answer. For me, priority 1 is to establish a plan. Right now, the tribe has no plan whatsoever. And if anybody has information that can prove me wrong, please show it to me. Because if you don't have a plan, you don't know where you're going. You have no idea what's supposed to happen, and you're basically just spinning in a circle. So for me, priority 1 is that. Priority 2 has been stated, but I stand in support of it, to stop the destructive nature of this council. People will disagree, and that is the nature of politics. And having a degree in political science, I understand how these things work at a very deep level. But when people are not allowed to express their opinions, when questions go unanswered, I asked 4 specific questions at the meeting mentioned by Lorelei, and the people who I asked those questions to stared off into space. So I am one of the people who do not receive the respect of even being given a simple answer. Why did you vote this way? So for me, those are the top 2 things. The other is to return us to the goals that I set and that the council set in my first term, the 5 prioritized areas working toward benefiting jobs, housing, youth, elders, and education, using the resources that we still do have to benefit our tribe in these areas, and then moving into the necessary 6th, healthcare, and the necessary and very unmentioned 7th, which is veterans issues. Veterans in our community are more revered than any other group. Veterans in our community are more popular than per capita, but we do almost nothing for them. So these are the areas that I will work on. They are not contingent upon being one of 9. They are areas that I know I can definitely impact, and I know my time is up. But at the same time, I want all of you to know that's what I believe in, and that's what I will work for, among a lot of other things.
I was sick to my stomach when I found out the tribe lost $6 million. It was Cobell buyback money, something I had a little bit to do with. When you lose money that large, it impacts the tribe now and future generations. It's long lasting. I asked why. I never got an answer. What I suspect is that because it has the capacity to make Lance Morgan look good, it wasn't in favor. I can't make decisions based on hatred. HCI has to make money. Winnebago has to make money. Land management has to make money. How in the world do you think we get money to pay a per cap? We have to reward those within our tribe that are successful instead of beating them down. I'll work with the people serving on the council that want to move ahead, because we do it to benefit the whole tribe. That little girl says my time's up. He's bossy without saying a word.
Are there any more questions?
But first, I have a comment. I watched a recent tribal council meeting. One of the tribal council members questioned a drawdown. It was almost a $500,000 drawdown that the council approved, did a resolution to draw down almost a $500,000 from the land lease money from tribal land, which, by the way, was supposed to go to the land corporation. So the tribal council member that wasn't there to make part of that decision asked, what is this what is this drawdown? What is this money being used for? Because normally it's on the resolution. This time it wasn't. So they asked, what's the money being used for? Crickets. Nobody said anything. Nobody knew, nobody remembered. It wasn't that long ago, less than a couple weeks. They didn't know what that money was for. The treasurer asked the secretary, is it in the minutes? Secretary said no. So they're all looking at each other. How do you forget what you requested $500,000 for? That's what we're dealing with right now. My question is, if you get elected on the council, we don't need another yes man. We don't need another hand raiser to go with the flow, go with everybody else. We need somebody that's gonna stand up, question, challenge what's going on down there. Will you stand up and question and hold them accountable for those decisions? Or will you just raise your hand and go say yes with the rest of them and collect your check?
I would have stood up and not let the nonsense go on the way it did. Those things like that happen, you know, is very deceiving to my people, and I don't myself appreciate it. Lying to me, my people. I would not stand up there and be a yes man. I will stand up there and stand up what's right for us. For me, as far as I'm concerned, that land management corporation thing should have been left in place and let it a few years to grow. That way, this year, our tribal enrollment would have probably got the least that's owed to them. You know, I'm waiting on mine. But yeah, we get a chance to let it grow, and then, you know, it's partial of some of the things I talk about. You know, reinvest in our main street, you know, use the monies for that way. Buy our land back. Our ancestors fought to keep this land with their blood. And here we are, you know, we just use their money, buy it back. Shit, we're native, you know what I mean? We live within our means, we live day to day. So I would stand up and not let none of some, you know, the things I've been witnessing go and take place. It's just not right. Thank you.
In 1974, I was pinned down by federal gunfire that were trying to kill me in Wounded Knee in 1973. And the Creator protected me. I got put to sleep while they were shooting at me. I don't really tell this a lot. But what it resulted in is a feeling of responsibility for my people. That I got to live, I got to be a mother, I got to be a wife, I got to be a grandmother, and now a great-grandmother. But what it did is I'm not scared of anybody when it's right. There ain't nobody I'm scared of except Cheryl, my older sister. She makes me, she's the only person in the whole world I'm scared of. But as far as finances are, that really frightens me to know that the treasurer was asking where the $500,000 was going. The treasurer? That's frightening to me. What's going on down there? And there's no way I'm going to sit there and take that. And I know that all you members are out there in the community. I can go and tell you what's going on and ask you to come down and help us. But I don't have a fear of anybody. It's maybe it's not a good thing. But if it's for the right thing, I've put my life on the line before. For when I felt it was right. So I would like to see now, tribal members in the Constitution are supposed to be able to look at the treasurer's books. Now I want to know about that 500,000. I might have to go down there tomorrow and put in a request during my lunch hour. I'd like to know what date that was, but anyway, thank you.
Well, that's the first that I've heard of that, but I've seen these things going on. I'm a civil servant by trade. I've been at the village office as a city clerk for over 14 years now. That council is run by Robert's Rules of Order. There's no way you can pass a resolution without not stating what is inside of it. It is illegal. You know, you can't just say no action taken when a motion is made and then it's seconded. That's illegal. It should always be firm and it should always be in writing. That's what I do. I would make sure that no, I would not pass anything, you know, unless it was specifically described and if I agreed with it. If I did not agree with it, I would not. But I would not allow such things like that to happen because it's not in my nature. It's not in what I've been doing for over 14 years now. So I can guarantee you that that would stop with me. Thank you.
I think it's plainly clear for anybody that knows me politically that I am not a yes man. I'm actually probably considered by people who disagree with me as the poster child for saying no, because of how many people have come before the council with truly ridiculous ideas or requests that made no sense. It isn't the fact that they can't be asked for, it's the fact that the tribe shouldn't be burdened with fulfilling those things. So I am not in any way, shape, or form a yes man. Nobody makes my decisions except me. And the reason why that is because I have to stand by them once they're made. So to answer that question, no, I am not someone who's just going to stand there and say yes to everything. The thing that I want to point out with this, what I see these types of things as, it's part of our problem that we have here with our government. Many people in the community look at our tribal council as leaders, but the reality is they are representatives. And there is a very large difference between those two terms. Representatives follow. Most succinctly, they follow their supporters. They are, in other words, demagogues, meaning I'm going to vote this way one day, I'm going to vote the exact opposite the next day, and then I'm going to go back the other way again because of who was in the audience. Leaders make their positions known. Like I said in the last question, that comes through planning. It's made public. Everyone has a chance to see it. Everyone has a chance to weigh in on it. And once it is finally approved, the majority will agree to it. So we move in a similar direction together. Right now we have no direction. And again, I ask you, if I am wrong, please show me where I'm wrong. Thanks.
I went to a council meeting. Two women were arguing. Then it ended up in a slapping match. I was right in the middle of it. And I was asking myself, is this the time to stand up? Or shut up? Then I had to tell the council that those women weren't fighting over me. But I stood up for the tribe. I fought the Corps of Engineers when they told us nobody beats the Corps of Engineers. We stood up. Sam Thibault would have stood up to those people disrupting the meeting and threw their ass out. Gordon would have thrown them out. Reuben would have thrown them out. We didn't have that kind of disrespect taking place. I don't go to council meetings because I'm ashamed of the behavior. And the chairman don't stand up. It goes back to the chairman. He's responsible. He can't run and hide. I remember when I messed up, Sam and Gordon and all those old men would take me aside and give me hell. They'd correct me. And I took what they said as gospel, because they were doing it for my own good. But it was respect for them that I don't see happening with a lot of men on the tribal council who are there for the money and not for the people. Thank you.
Your question? She's coming.
I don't know if this is a question but it's my observation. I'm not around all of these meetings, committee meetings, all these different kind of meetings and stuff. I don't usually go around them. But what I do see, I take a lot of people, a lot of young able-bodied people up to TANF to get GA checks. And when I do that, I ask them, do you put in applications here or there? They say, yeah, we go all over the place. Well, in order to get a TANF check, you need to be drug-free. So when I ask them that, they said they don't hire them. Who they hire are family members, relatives. That's who gets hired. And there's and this goes even bigger than that. It goes to the point of when you don't have anything to do, an able-bodied man, when you're 22 years old, 23 years old, when you don't have anything to do, nothing to do, no job to go to, nothing to get any money to feed your kids, and all these things, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? What is the people that are in charge pushing you towards? They're pushing you towards that dope. That dope is where the money is. Myself, I'd rather work. But there's a lot of people that don't have that inner strength to do that. They'll take that dope and go out and sell it. If I can go sell you $5 worth of stuff and you $10 and you $15, shit, that's $40. And that's something that right now the people are looking at it, and all these able-bodied men go around all over the place, put in applications. And one thing I seen is that I was really proud of is that these water protective services, when they were up there fighting that pipeline. Our tribe went down here and they got wood, sent up 5 truckloads, 6 truckloads of wood up there. Somebody had to pay for that. Why can't they do that? Why can't they do that? You know, so that's what I'm saying. You know, we got a problem here that we can fix. We can fix. And then I see us getting millions of dollars from Defense Department stuff. I see them giving all of these different kinds of what do you call it? Those bonus checks they get up there. They get $12,000, $7,000, $6,000. And all of the rest of us, you know, we don't get crap. We don't get none of that. Why can't they put all that kind of money towards helping us do something? Get us a job. But anyway, that's all I really wanted to say. There's a whole lot more, but they told me 3 times. So I just wanted to say about that much, you know, and I don't think it was a question, but something to think about.
My name is Tanya Keller, and excuse me. I also was one of the people that asked about the land corp and how they decided to disband it. And again, I didn't get any answers. I asked it twice, but the question I have is, when you get elected on the council, there's one council member that got their house and land for $1, and they haven't paid any lease on it. And when confronted about it, there was no answer again. So I just want to know what you would do, if anything, about this.
I'm aware of the situation that you just brought up. I mean, I don't like to talk about it anymore. I mean, but I worked for the senior program and had done some work on that home, you know, and knowing the needs in some of that. This is my opinion. I'm going to tell you like it is, you know. There was other applicants and seniors that needed assistance on their home as each, and you know, the way the program works. And I didn't particularly agree to it, but I did it because it's what I do at work. But 2 days after that gentleman was on the council, I roofed his house, not knowing of all the things that supposedly was supposed to take place, and I didn't know that. Yeah, I was a little aggravated about it because I knew there's other seniors in front of him that needed to take, you know, other needs to be taken care of. I know I'm going to go over a little bit of my time here, but I prepared something. I'm just going to read it today because it might sum up some of the questions you have, and I really want to share this with you and hope that we spread the word, you know. There are many issues that need to take care of and goals I'd like to accomplish. I've heard concerns throughout our community and many issues, and I myself would like to see more for my people. In the past, we have elected our council for the betterment, and from what I've seen was greed, misleading, and a lot of vindictiveness. To be quite frank, our councils have not done anything very good for the people on and off the reservation. This is my home, and I am proud of who I am and who we are. Our ancestors went through hardships, not knowing that we were being, you know, exterminated as they did the eagle, the wolf, the buffalo, and they all had made a comeback as we are. The government is still trying, but we'll always be here, and we need to stand as one nation. To get where I feel we should be, this is only my opinion, and I want to share with y'all. We need to take our casino and ATL profits, bank, and bank, as we need to build a pot. That way all of our goals can be met easily, I believe. We have not seen any growth in our community from our shares, and to think we only have 2 sources of income to us that I can see. So no, we need to invest on the land in Main Street and throughout the reservation, reinstate the land corporation, what little we have that our ancestors paid in blood to keep for us. And you know, I stated that before, that plus our people can get the lease that's owed to them. Anything, I believe that we should invest into anything to bring us profits, such as food franchise, motel, mainly most of all the land, so we can invite industries here to you know, build on what we provide for them, give them tax breaks. You know, I can honestly I just want to add this for an example on one issue. When we lost my grandfather, Jimmy Rice, he had to leave us in a home away from home, and it was sad knowing all he wanted was to be home here with his friends and other long life friends, like our loved ones currently in homes. And it's hard for families to get 15 miles, let alone 80 miles to visit. And like always, they go to the spirit world alone and scared. Now imagine this. We all heard of the so-called home to be built, and it started out looking promising, but now nothing. With proper investing, we would be able to say to any grant writer, you have an X amount of time to find the money we need to build, because if you can't, we're stepping in to build. We have the money. This is where I think we can be an issue and to take care of all of us if we're to turn into this path. I can honestly admit at a younger age I never gave it a thought about any direction the tribe was going in. But in the past 5 to 10 years, and after my first grandchild, I looked back and thought, if we had only made these moves, we could be very well be sitting on a multi-million-dollar portfolio today. Maybe my dreams are too big for my people. I just believe it's very possible. I spent some years at a job and looked back on it and thought to myself, I wasted all this time with no kind of insurance or anything but a weekly check. Opportunities doesn't exist in our places of employment throughout the tribe. It seems we don't have people knocking down the door to work. Underpaid, can't speak your mind, not knowing if your future is secured. Again, with all the right moves, then the tribal employees can have proper raises and cost of living. I feel for the employees and proud of them to want to continue working for the tribe. Morale seems to be at its all-time lowest. I am aware there are a lot of issues that need to be worked out for the betterment of my people. And if we are to get to anywhere, I feel investing our money wisely is the way. Is the only way. Something with fast return and some with long, continuous return. The tribe invested in Ho Chunk in the casino. We see returns, but yet money slips away, and most of the time benefits none of my people on and off the reservation in a positive way, meaning the future. To get us out of the red and into the black, make smart investments, secure the future for each and every one of us, and always remain in the black. Work to keep employees pay fair with society, give tribal programs back their budgets, and let them directors do what they specialize in. Myself, my people have spent way too much money to the table, and it just doesn't seem to work. Micromanaging is not my interest, nor do we need to pay for it anymore. Work to buy back the land at all costs. Encourage and find companies to build in our land with tax breaks. Built in the USA sounds good. I like native country. My people, let's work towards the future for us and our children by making the best decisions for our people, no matter how hard it is at times. And with all the right investments, any obstacles that face us can be conquered with ease. If we let things to continue as they are, simply just look what it has gotten us. A new positive venture is ours. Let's make a new trail to success. I encourage all of you to get out and vote. Melton Frenchman.
hear about the council member. He makes enough money to pay his rent, and he makes enough money to pay for his own roof. Why should we pay for it? Because that's what's happening. We as tribal members paid for the roof and paid for the rent. And it's unfair. And I would go for collection if I had enough votes. He used his position to take advantage unfairly of us. And that's wrong. And we have to deal with that. I asked this young lady who she was. She gave me this big long answer. And I finally figured out who she was. And I said, all you had to do was tell me you're Pearl's granddaughter, knowing exactly who you were.
Do we have more questions?
Besides the topic that Tanya brought up, before that, there was the $2 million amount that they were going to get from Liberty Bank. During the treasurer's report, Mayan presents from the casino. And he presented that he needed $2 million for HVAC and capital improvements. And so they were ready to make a motion and a run up to the bank right that day to give him the $2 million, get him the $2 million and give it to him so he could do these things. They didn't put any stipulations on it. It was just give it to him. But there were very few people in there that day. Were you there, Tanya? Tanya was there. I was there. Ruby was there, and Benny was there. And I think we were the only ones, right? We were the only tribal members in there. And we raised questions, but they weren't going to pay any attention to us. And I don't know what made them stop. If all of a sudden somebody made sense to them or what. But they didn't carry it out that day. But they're still trying to do it. They're still trying to get that money. And it was going to be out of the portfolio. You never touch your portfolio money unless it's dire straits. And that's where they put us, in dire straits. We are. I've heard from 2 council members and another person in a high position down there that, yeah, the tribe is in dire straits because the casino is in dire straits. And so that's some of the things that when you question, when you ask, you don't get an answer. And if you've been reading those letters that Ruby and I have been putting in the paper, you would have, these things that we're talking about and people are shocked over, they're in those letters. You would have known about them you would have known who did them, how they did it, right after it happened. Because that's what we go to the meetings for, so we can hear it for ourselves. We don't make these things up. They actually said them, did them, tried to do them, and we're honest about it because we want you all to be informed, and we always encourage everybody, if you can make it down there, don't sit at home and listen to it on live stream or watch it, because you can't react just like that when they do it. You have to be there. And we encourage everybody to go to a meeting. They meet every day. They don't do all of this shady business during the first of the month meeting and the mid-month meeting and the treasurer's report. We do them every day. Which reminds me, Mona, you can be a stipend council member if you get on. Just designate where you want it to go. You don't have to take it. Brian knows that. It's possible. There's, you know, we should designate the Boys and Girls Club to get it. When I was on there, I designated the fire department to get it because they always need gas. So that's where mine went.
I'd like to comment on what Jeannie was saying. I just wanted to comment on what she said about people going to their meetings. One or twice, Jeannie and I were the only two people in that conference room. The only two. Where were the other people to come and speak to the conference? There was nobody there but her and I. And Tanya, she would go. A couple times, like I said, with her and I were there. I just want the members in the conference that are running to know that. And I guess I just wanted to say, okay, I got a question. How do you feel about things like that? I mean, right now our table is separate in that complicated. There's two sides. Okay. I think you mentioned that a couple of you. But sitting here and listening to you, I've been satisfied with all your answers. As an elder of this community, I want to say that to you. I'm satisfied with all your answers. Because to me, they sound sincere. I've trusted our previous conference. I never went to any of their meetings because I put all my trust in them. But what they did to us, they lost my trust. All of them. I just wanted to say that to these people and you. As the elder of this community, I lost my complete trust in them. But, so this is why I go to the meetings now. To get the exact answers and knowledge that I need from them. So if you're elected, we're going to trust you. We're going to put our trust in you guys. I just wanted to bring that
question, and it's, what do you think Ho-Chunk Inc.'s impact on the community is?
I'll be honest with you, I think it's damn good. I have no problem with the HCI. I don't see why people, you hear HCI, I've heard that comment, but little do some of our people know, maybe it needs to be said. Them dividends probably bought plenty of clothing allowances from our children, and probably paying for our council salaries. Where's our money going? I don't know. Nobody knows. So I mean, through all of that, I think it's a good thing. I view Ho-Chunk Inc. as was an investment to our tribe. And within 10 years, I've seen the profits back to us double. Can you imagine 10, 15 more years from now? Triple, quadruple. It's a good thing for us. It's a good thing for us, for all of us. Thank you.
I think it was probably about, I can't remember, maybe I'm getting old, but I think it was like 10 years ago. We had a past tribal council that the chairman was on the board of HCI. And we heard that that board escorted our CEO of HCI out of the meeting, or even out of our building. So we were all down at the tribal council chambers. We wanted to know what was going on. Why was our CEO of HCI escorted out of our headquarters building? What was going on? And at that time, I told a story that I was told. And this story is that when us Winnebago people, when we were encamped at Fort Thompson, we were starving. And that military there at Fort Thompson, they were feeding their cattle better than our own people. And our people were so hungry, and our children were hungry, that the military were feeding their cattle real corn. And those cattle couldn't digest that corn, so it came out. And our people dug that corn out, cleaned it, and that's what we ate to survive. That is a true story of our ancestors and what they survived for. So our Ho-Chunk Incorporated is ours. And it's building our future so that our grandchildren don't have to live that way or go through that again. And that's why I'm proud of my company. And I'm proud of the vision that comes for our own people that's there. And I support them all the way, because sometime, somewhere, they're going to shut down our gaming, because they don't want Indians to have any corner of the market. So there's a day coming when our business enterprises, through our Ho-Chunk Incorporated, that all of us own, is going to keep our tribe going, where we don't have to go back to what we experienced in Fort Thompson. Thank you.
I served as a member of the Ho-Chunk Inc. Board of Directors for approximately 15 years. I was first appointed in 2003. I served a 3-year term, and then I was reappointed again after the people voted to remove the Board of Directors that existed in 2007. And then I served from 2007 until earlier this summer. So my awareness of what Ho-Chunk Inc. does, what it's about, what it's been through, what its goals are, is pretty deep. I am extremely proud of the work that we've done. I'm extremely proud of the effort that has been given, and I'm even more proud of the future that our company has in store for us. It's not that these issues are secrets, it's that they are not completely done, and so it's not appropriate to talk about them yet. But as you all see, communication flows freely from the corporation, but unfortunately it's not digested rather easily by the people of our tribe for some reason. Ho-Chunk Inc. is something that has changed this community, not only through revenue and dollars, but through the social issues that we face. For some reason that I don't understand yet, in the establishment of the 5 prioritized areas where housing was made, and in the special election, a decision was made to build 100 houses. That goal has been reached. Ho-Chunk Inc. has yet to announce that, but 100 homes have been built on the reservation, not just here in Winnebago, but on the reservation. I'm not talking about things in South Sioux. I'm not talking about things in downtown Sioux City or any other place. I'm talking about on the Winnebago reservation. But without the goal setting that we put into place, without the will to push these things forward, these goals would never have been reached. And I want to make it absolutely clear, I know my time is up, that housing goal doesn't stop simply because we hit the 100 mark. Have we housed all of our tribal members? Do tribal members who do not have the opportunity to live here have a place to live yet? You know the answer is no. So it has to keep going. But to openly defy it, to handcuff it, and to stop it in its progress isn't a stop or a slight against its management. It's a slight against our own people. So when people say negative things about Ho-Chunk Inc., who are they saying it about? It's not the management, it's about you.
I'm always asked this question about HCI. It's kind of like pulling teeth out of me. I don't see a lot of some of the issues I think that a lot of the tribal members have is the shareholders bonus. That's an issue that a lot of people have. And that's just a matter of greed. I kind of take issue with Lance Morgan posting that dividend check, because then people come out of the woodwork talking about they see $1 million and they think, where's my per cap? What am I going to get out of that? $1 million is not a lot when it comes to running the tribe. It's not a lot. You know, and kind of there was someone, she's not here now, she's asking me questions on Facebook. She said it was like pulling teeth. What do I have to say? They're building homes, right? We've got the other North 40 and kind of whooshing on the other 80. We need those homes. We need them. We took over the hospital. We need to solicit those medical people that we need down here, and we need to provide them a home. We also, and this is one of my big things, and I very much appreciate you students doing this because it's one of my big things that I see and I love so much, is all of you going out and getting your education. I have my daughter right now that will graduate in spring to become a nurse, and she wants to work at our hospital and take care of our people, you know, and she wants to own a home, and that's provided by HCI. I went to the solar panels and the green energy tour with them. You know, that's right up my alley. Those are the things that I want to see. That's helping us become self-sufficient. We've also got the food sovereignty and the food market. We are a food desert. Those are things that are needed. Thank you.
I was on the council when we were setting up gaming after the bingo hall failed. And I proposed setting 20% aside for economic development. And it was a hard sell, except for T. Walker and Eugene Decora. They were in favor of it because they remember the times when the person would die and the tribe had no money to help them, or they scraped up what they could to help that family. When we settled the Winnebago claims for land we had in Wisconsin, Iowa, and Minnesota, we took 10% of it and we put it into a burial fund. And it had a positive impact for a long time in the tribe till we ran out. So they saw the merit of putting money aside and not just spending all our money. And that became the basis, the foundation for the new corporation, HCI. I can say with a degree of pride, one of the best things I did as your chairman was to work with that council to set up the mechanism for HCI. I'm one of its strongest believers. Now we have to petition them to help us find a labor-intensive industry on the reservation so we can employ people. Because more people need more houses, need better stores, better economy for the tribe, and we have to go for it. And the mechanism we have, HCI, it can also work hand in glove with the tribal college, training people for new jobs. It's as available as a vision of the people and the employees we have. I remember Manuka. When I first saw him, I couldn't believe this guy. But he made a believer out of me. And he's struggling with the college, but we're making it. We're making it. Because it's part of the vision for the tribe. HCI will make it because it's part of the vision for the tribe. So I can see and been through some dire times with the tribe. But I've seen Winnebagos come out ahead. And I'm a believer in you. Thank you.
Alrighty, before we get to the next question, I would just like to remind that all questions and answers should not exceed 2 minutes. Yes.
First of all, I just want to say I want to give an option on to each and every one of you. I really like what I heard tonight as a citizen of our nation. Makes me feel good and hopeful of what's coming up in the election. So grateful for each and every one of you and what you said tonight. And it's fitting that we have this forum here. I'm thankful for Cassie and her students and the vision that this college even exists. It's a real honor to serve in this capacity. And I can tell you that one day we will be calling it Chief Little Priest University, probably sooner than we think. And I think that's what Louis, and that's what each and every one of you are talking about, you know. And we haven't forgotten where we've come from, and I really appreciate those stories because we talk about that. We're in an era of abundance, even though we're talking about money. We are in an era of abundance in our history, and we have to take stock and be grateful and thankful for that. But we know that we can always do more, and we can always do better. We know that. And I think that's what I've heard from each of you tonight. And so that makes me hopeful, and I'm grateful. But I also serve as a Winnebago tax commissioner, and I'm very concerned about this reoccurring problem. And I call it diabetes general. It's also known as DG, or Dollar General. But I think it really facilitates poor health in our community. But even equally important is that they are legally taxing our citizens, and that is driving me nuts at the moment. And this has been going on for a while, and I really want to hear from the council. I know that they support the commission. It's been hard to even get a quorum at the tax commission. I think we've had one quorum so far, and that was the one I couldn't attend. But I had attended every other one, and we didn't have a quorum to conduct business. And so I'm hopeful that our new elected officials, we get back on track and put those sovereignty tools to work, because there are some tools in the toolbox that we have not even begun to use yet in that area to help fund and fulfill our people's vision for ourselves. But that's my question, candidates, is without a doubt, unequivocally, we are being illegally taxed by that non-native business who has proven all the way up to the Supreme Court that they don't really care about tribal law, this corporation, Dollar General, billion-dollar corporation. And I want to know, I guess, you know, from you, what's in your mind to help support and stop this illegal taxation?
A year ago, because of the health data that we are experiencing as a tribe, and I don't want to say what it is because I understand this is going outside the tribe, so I'm not going to say what the health data is. But we approached the tax commission, the Good Health program, because we wanted the tax commission to impose a tax on sugar-sweetened beverages, hoping that it would deter our members from buying that, because that's one of our major causes of our health data I was talking about. And at that time, the tax commission, this was a year ago, had just approved, you were at that meeting, to send a letter to the DG to cease and desist taxing our members. And then it stopped there because of tribal elections and the way the code is set up. The vice chairman of the tribe and the treasurer of the tribe are always on the tax commission. So I was bugging the tax commission, when are we going to meet on our proposed tax? And we finally had a meeting in July. And that was where we had to re-educate the new members to what our proposed issue was. But right now, our tribe, because of we are so progressive as a tribe, we are under attack. You guys remember when they raided our headquarters and like we were criminals? And now we're in federal court to defend our sovereignty and our right. And so that's one battle. And there's the battle with the DG, of which there's already federal case law that the Omahas won on taxing on reservations. So we have two battles ahead of us as a tribe. And then we got a schizophrenic president who's poised on appointing this crazy guy to be on the Supreme Court, a sexual assaulter. So these are a hard time to be in federal court right now. So we have to defend ourselves, but which battle is the highest priority? And that's something I think it's going to take input from all of us. It's not something that one group of 9 people can solve. It's going to take all of us, because defending ourselves in federal court costs a lot of money. And I would say right now, with our cigarette sales, we're losing millions without even seeing any reports. So these are issues that we're faced with as a tribe right now. And there's no easy answer. That's my response. Thank you.
The generalized issue of taxation is automatically an issue of our tribal sovereignty. But to take it more in depth, because the answer requires that, the tribe's mechanisms have to be made, how do I want to say this, more of a priority. Because what most people don't realize is that when the officers of the table are chosen every fall following the general election, the treasurer is automatically the chairman of the tax committee. And being the former treasurer, I understand that. When we have people in place who don't take these matters seriously, or shirk them, or go however many months it was between election and holding a meeting, our sovereignty is eroded. And so in order for us to even place ourselves in the arena of fighting the state, of fighting the federal government, of dealing with the very real issues that Lorelei brings up. I am a political junkie. I listened to Senator Mazie Hirono of Hawaii, who is a native Hawaiian herself, question Supreme Court candidate Kavanaugh and his previous decisions regarding the destruction of the rights of native Hawaiians. It's not hard for him to make those same similar decisions against native tribes in the continental U.S. So if we are not even at the starting point of even holding a meeting, how are we ever going to hope to win a case in federal court? We do need to fight for our rights. We should establish our rights. I want to make this clear. It's not just, I'm not just giving you a statement of we have to fight and we have to uphold our sovereignty in general. But we have to make sure that we're ready to do it. And right now, we're not. I don't want to set ourselves up to fail. So we have to put A, B, and C in place. And to me, that's where we need to start. I wish I had more time.
I haven't researched this or read much about it. But the first thing I question is, what the hell are we letting them on the reservation for anyway? Their progress, their sales, shows the capacity to generate sales on the reservation. I could go to another company. We could go around them. hit them in the ass, in the pocketbook. That's what makes the Dollar General wake up. I went and complained to the council because they were taxing me. They wouldn't accept my card. And the council complained, and they quit their taxing. But we have to take the issue at hand and deal with companies that honor our sovereignty. If they don't, to hell with them. We don't need them.
Do we have any more questions?
Okay, well, thank you. I got a granddaughter, so we need to pick her up. But I want to say thank you to our Little Free students. I honor you for taking the seriousness of the election and who's going to be sitting at that council table seriously. And I honor you for this forum and how you organized it. And I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
I have to leave. I got my granddaughter. I got to pick her up. So thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
I've heard some rumors going around town that this council is revisiting the idea of expanding the casino with a water park. I know it was brought up years ago, and I don't know what happened back then, but and I think the idea is to be the good guys, do something fun. I mean, who wouldn't want a water park at our casino? But with all these issues that we've been talking about tonight, Mal mentioned the nursing home that never got off the ground, and we've been talking about that for decades. The meth, some kind of meth rehab, you know, more funding for our college, more funding for our Boys and Girls Club. All these things take money, but yet they're considering doing a water park. And that's something current and something they're talking about now. Would you support that? If you got on the council, how would you vote?
I'm probably going to go over time here. It always bothered me that it was probably 12 years ago now, because I was first elected in 2008, and it was before that, that the council that existed at that time went through the embarrassing effort of announcing publicly through press releases and news stories, both on TV and in print, of how a water park and a lazy river and a hotel, which didn't exist at that time, were all going to be built. But none of it ever came to fruition. And when I was elected in 2008, seeing Winnebago in its status that it was, knowing that we were able to expand it, pushing that forward through the skill sets that myself, Danelle Smith, Lance Morgan, and others who had pivotal roles in creating the expansion of the hotel that all of you can see here today. It was funny because we revisited portions of the previous plan, and the thing I chuckled about was they wanted to do all of this. They announced it publicly, put pictures out, made themselves seem like it was grand and it was wonderful, but they didn't even have the necessary electricity to operate the machines they were expanding. They didn't have the necessary power to operate the lazy river and the water park. The infrastructure wasn't even there. It was more than just, okay, let's have a dream and let's go forward with it. You had to have the ability to get it done. And we did. We did that, culminating in 2011. And the only thing that stopped it from opening at the end of my term there was the flood that you all remember. But we put these things in place. Lance Morgan made one phone call and saved that operation $100,000. And I'll tell you the details of that if you want to know. But if they want to expand, then they have to have things in place. If they want to use the revenue from that operation in order to facilitate bigger and better things for itself, I'm all for it. But it has to be real. It can't just be a pipe dream or somebody trying to fanaticize something that they know will be popular amongst tribal members politically. Because all of us have dreams for our operations, but if you don't have the skill set to put it forward, if you don't have the ability to see it through, not just the will or the desire, but the skills, the education, the knowledge, the experience, it's never going to happen. There's so much more that I want to talk about this, and I know that I am going to run out of time. But these dire straits that we hear so often, who are these dire straits for? Is it truly the tribe itself, or is it dire straits for 9 paychecks? Because as the former treasurer, I understand what our budget is. There's one line item that is over $1 million that can easily be reappropriated. So when you're being inflamed with comments, we're in dire straits, ask the question, who's in dire straits? The people or 9 paychecks? Thank you.
I wouldn't object to something like that. I mean, it sounds like it'd be something good, but only after my people's needs are met first, and it's affordable, where we don't have to borrow money to make these things happen. I'm tired of being in debt, so it's time to come back into the black. And if it's possible, yeah. But at the moment, I don't think it's a very good move, for my people. I mean, we need to gather our resources first before we make that commitment. And if we do, we can do it ourselves. Tired of borrowing money. Thank you.
I'm not in favor of a theme park. I think it's going to cost too much, and the revenue generated won't be that much. Because the theme park is for children. And we need to get gamblers there. So we got to look at something else besides a theme park. I went to one, and I wasn't convinced that it would generate the revenue that it costs. And it was a high maintenance item. The water ate up the pipes, the chemicals impacted the whole operation. So I'm not convinced that it's a good choice. We've got to look somewhere else.
Do we have any more questions?
Everything that I'm going to say in this answer needs to be predicated under the understanding that I do not in any way, shape, or form advocate micromanagement. But the quick and easy answer with that is task its management to do its job, set goals for itself, and to do better. Because the tools, the resources, all of that is there. We've all seen it. We can go out there and look at it right now. I have a very different philosophy as a casino manager than our current one in Sloan. But I'm not the one who made the selection to place them in these positions. So my answer has to be, you need to do your job and do it better. Because if we're not meeting the goals that we set for ourselves, then we need to understand why. Again, I really want to make everybody understand I am not in any way, shape, or form for micromanagement. But when it comes to the point of rumors that I've heard as well, revenue numbers not hitting even half of what was projected and things of the like, I want to know what the real truth is before I actually make some kind of decision. But then once the truth is revealed, because I understand in depth what those numbers mean, where they come from, how they're generated, etc., then we're going to have some very real conversations on what needs to be done. Because there's no reason the operation should not be competitive in this market. One thing I want to point out specifically to prove this is at the end of my first term in 2011, the general manager, her name was Catherine Kalsrud. While I was the vice chairman in my last year, I helped establish the budget that was there, and the directive I gave to her as general manager was to take the dollar figure that we were transferring over to the tribe yearly and increase that by approximately 1.1 million. And what I've seen in the special election is that number was now half of what it was in 2011. And what I'm told today is 2015's number is now half again. I want to understand why this is. I want to understand what has occurred to cause this to one of our best operations and get it back on the track of success, because I am also a long-time Winnebago employee. My first job was as a dealer. I started on January 3rd, 1993. So the operation is not a mystery to me, but I support it entirely because when Winnebago does good, the tribe does well, and that's why it's so important. We can't let it flounder and fail. We deserve better.
I would like to see revenue change for the better also over there, but as Mr. Chairman said, I myself don't believe in micromanaging. I mean, I guess just find to be there and support whoever is running that, to make sure that, or not tell them what to do, but just make sure that we're going in the right direction, making the right moves, that we can bring in more revenue, all we can. I don't know, maybe loosen the percentage up on them slots. I gamble, there's no doubt about that. I like to play, but maybe we can offer that, and then that'll bring some more people in. I mean, I don't know much about that, but there's got to be something that we can do to bring that revenue in and raise it up. But like I said, I'm not into micromanaging. It's not my field, and that's it. Thank you.
And again, you're going to hear it, yeah, you're not to micromanage. So, my suggestion to you is, when you go out there, you take all of your friends with you, and you ask them for a complaint form or a suggestion box, and cram it full of what you want. I know you want more concerts. I used to work out there too. I worked back in the heyday where Diane Old Band packed that place. We were 3 to 6 deep in the bar just trying to get drinks to get in and out of the concerts. I know what you're talking about, and that was back in its heyday. But like they said, you know, we can't micromanage. But you, as a youth, and you go out there, you need to start throwing in your friends suggestions in the suggestion box, because if you get enough of them in there, you know, it's eventually going to make it, you know. So that would be my suggestion on that.
I think I have an inherent right to micromanage. I'm older, but I think it's the bane of the tribe. You have to put together an operation to run like a business, not like a tribal government. And they make the decisions on scheduling. I tell them things. I don't tell them what to do. I was the first slot technician when it was in the bingo hall. And the manager then, the machine was down. He did everything in his power to get that machine going. And he set the cycle speed at high speed so that the money would go through there faster. Because that would make more money for the tribe. And we find everything to make more money. And that's what they have to do. You pick competent people that will make money for you. And sometimes those competent people catch a lot of hell because they are pushy. But they do that to make more money, and you have to accept that. You also have to thank them for surviving in a tough climate. We're having a hard time with hard rock. But we got a lot of tribal members that are spending their money at hard rock. I don't go to hard rock. I've been in there twice. I spend my money at Winnebago because I think that I might hit the big one and get it all back.
Do we have any more questions?
I'm happy to take your questions, and I will give you a full discourse back and forth because, like I said before, my degree is in political science, and I really do truly enjoy the nature of politics. Not the negative side, definitely not the destructive side that some people take it to, but the way that politics are, because I believe in the tenet that in the conflict, not meaning physically, but in the conflict and the argument comes the greater decision. I know that to be true. I've seen it. I've watched it. I've been a part of it. I believe that I can have a vigorous discussion with someone, and if I am proved wrong, I don't feel that I've lost something. I feel that I've learned. Unfortunately, most people in politics look at it the opposite. They are now your enemy. And we cannot continue in that way. So my question to you, tribal members, the few that are here, I appreciate your presence, but I ask you this question. How do you expect things to change if you elect the same people over and over again? How do you expect us to move forward if you don't have the basics of planning in place? How are we supposed to progress as a tribe when our leadership ignores you, ignores me? Or even worse, because you've had a difficult conversation with them, treats you like an enemy. I'm saying this publicly to all of you. If you have something to say, and it has something to do with what we should be dealing with politically, bring it forward. I'll talk with you all day long. But I ask those questions of you and answer them in the ballot box with the people you select. Because I know people here in the tribe care. And the people sitting up here are certainly people that do care. So with that, answer that question in the ballot box. Thank you.
Alrighty, guys, I'd like to thank you all for coming out here, and I hope all of your questions were answered. And if you have any other comments that you'd like to say before we close, now is the time. Okay. Well, if that is all, I'd like to thank the candidates for coming out here and speaking with us today, and I hope y'all drive home safely and have a safe and great night.